Welcome back to the Snod Pod with John Snodgrass, your mortgage resource where we're talking real estate, mortgages, plumbing, and much, much more. I'm back with Brian Fitzpatrick, Director of Operations and Master Plumber at Mr. Holland Services. Brian, thanks for sticking around.
You got it.
For episode, another episode here.
You got it.
Lots to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into, I remember when I bought my home, you were like, and I've always, been a customer of you guys for a long time, and you were like, John, you didn't say it in these words, but you were like, John, you're pretty much worthless. Stick to mortgages. You can barely, use a hammer. Get in our club.
Yeah.
Pay a little bit of money where you kind of become like a VIP, and I love it. I think I'm in year 6. Yeah, I'm a 6. Yeah, this is my 6th year. Where you guys come out once a year. You send your electrician out to check that stuff out.
Yep.
You send a plumber out.
Yep.
And then you send the air conditioning guy to come out in the spring, and then you send out a heat guy.
Furnace in the fall.
Yep, furnace in the fall. I believe it's the 4, right?
Yep.
Okay. Which has really turned out to be useful. And then also, it in an emergency situation, it comes through, which I can talk about. But like, tell me a little bit about the club and the benefits. And what are you guys doing on each one? Because I know you're there.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. It's a membership. Somewhat of a subscription where you're going to get a discount on services, right, that are during normal business hours and things of that nature. You actually get a discount on some evaluation fees, so that when we come out, we have to look things over. You get a discount on that stuff as well. But the biggest thing that we provide is sort of an overall sort of assessment of the state of those certain infrastructure within your home, right? So an electrician's coming over to look and see if anything looks like it had any fire damage, right? Anything that's, sort of on the fritz or glitching. The plumber comes over to make sure, there's no evidence of things backing up. He's going to make sure that things are flowing. He's going to make sure that the pressures are normal and good. There's a lot of stuff that you can have in a home that doesn't always show right away, right? But there are signs that something is going on. So there's a lot of things that we can see as plumbers. If there's a sort of a little bit of a stain around a drain in the basement floor, it's evidence that at one point in time water had come up onto the floor. Right? Why did that take place? Right?
Yeah.
So the membership is also to provide a check of the AC, which is crucial.
Yes.
And it's to check the furnace in the fall. So yet again, some of those things are actually required, right, by the manufacturer to keep warranty. But moreover, if you haven't ran your furnace for 6, so we go through these big swings in Wisconsin, right?
Weather,
right?
Weather is total, yeah.
Where 6 months, 8 months go by, you don't use your air conditioner, right? Then you're predominantly using the furnace. It's not like a tempered climate where you're using the one item sort of all the time. And those are the kinds of things that people fall asleep on, right? A furnace turns on for the first time. Well, what do we all do? We just go to the thermostat and turn it on, and we cross our fingers that it's going to work.
Yeah.
And so having the membership just provides sort of you and the homeowner access to the knowledge that, hey, I noticed this last year. This year it's worse.
Yeah.
Right? It's a nice track record to know where the state of all your appliances. Those are the most expensive things that you have in your home, right? Water heaters, furnaces, air conditioners, things like that.
Yeah, it's similar to what you said, in a previous episode, just about kind of car maintenance. It's kind of similar to that. Like you guys have the record of what you did a year ago. So like again, to kind of bring I've got 2 instances in the last 6 years. One, at a previous episode, I talked about how my water heater broke. It was a Sunday night.
Yeah.
But because I'm in the club.
Yep.
VIP.
You got access to a plumber.
Right. And like really quickly, is you've got somebody on call.
Yep.
And I'm not paying triple time.
Correct.
Because like when I was in my condo, I didn't have you guys.
Right.
I wasn't in the club. And my heat went out on a weekend. I had to pay like triple time.
Yep.
So anyways, that was nice. I just paid the regular the regular cost, and got a new water heater. He was there Sunday night. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Like when problems happen, I mean, you guys deliver.
Well, and it saves you guys time too, right? So if the thing happened on a Sunday night, do you really want to burn now a Monday because of it too?
Mm-hmm.
So we are there to do that stuff at any point in time, which is it's really a good benefit to our clients.
Yeah. Well, and the other one was just happened. The air conditioning guy was there doing his job. And he's like, hey, everything looks good. And then he just kind of, he's like, hey, there's one little thing I was going to replace here. It's, $98, whatever it was. I was just like, yeah, that's cool. And then he's like, well, I don't know what he was doing with the furnace, but like must be some tie with the air conditioner.
Yep.
And he had noticed, and I knew on the last previous year that they were like, we got to keep an eye on the furnace. But the air conditioner guy was like, hey, it looks like your heat exchanger, if that's the right term.
It is.
Thank you. He said, like, it's shot.
Yeah.
Good news is, from what I can tell, he's like, this is not my expertise, but looks like the heat exchanger needs to be replaced. I talked to Mike, I think, who runs the heat division.
Yep.
Maybe heat and air. And so we're going to get somebody out to replace that. So that was just kind of cool that I know about it. And I'm sure you guys would have found it in the fall when you came out, but it's nice to know, hey, I'm saving up for it.
Correct.
I mean, it's not going to be that bad because I'm not replacing the whole furnace. But anyways.
Yeah. So that's something that you got kind of a heads up on something that would have definitely probably failed in the winter. And again, we're not able to see the future. We don't have a crystal ball to tell you when something's going to go, but at least you had some background. You got to prepare for this. That's a step up from most other people, right?
Yeah.
Where they find it when it's toast.
Yeah.
And we try to do our best to really provide the clients with as much information that we can give them.
Yeah.
And sort of the state of play of all their stuff.
Yeah.
And equipment, again, it's expensive to replace the stuff. It's expensive to it's also expensive to continue to work on stuff. So what we try to do is give you, as a client, options. If you want to make the repairs, that's fine. If you want to replace it, that's also fine. We just want to give you the ability to sort of make that decision in an educated way by knowing where everything sort of lies. I think if you only had half of the information, you wouldn't be able to make a completely educated sort of decision on whether or not you should repair versus replace.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I can, as a novice, all things to do with the home, join the club. Do yourself a favor.
Do yourself a favor.
So let's transition kind of into the state of the trade, because I'm thinking, like, I just, I did a kitchen renovation recently, and there was, I just kept on hearing, just like, although my renovation went flawless with Kowalski Kitchen and Bath,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I hear about just like the state of the trades. It's just like it's hard to find people, and again, more reason to be in the club.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about that, the state of the trades, like, people retiring, people coming in. It just seems like there's a shortage. I always hear that.
There is. One of the things that we've seen, some of the numbers that we've been seeing and hearing over the last sort of 5 years is about 4 tradesmen are retiring for every one that's coming in.
Wow.
That's an unsustainable number. That's been said for a long time now. I don't know exactly where we are right now, whether we're at the bottom of that, whether we're still, descending. I don't know.
Still descending.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think some of the stuff that we're hearing out there, you're starting to get people excited about the trades again. We are getting candidates, to step up and get into the trades again. It's just that the process to make a tradesman is not a 2-year process. It's not a 4-year process. It's potentially 10 years before a person is extremely proficient in these types of trades. And if you think about where we were, or where I just kind of said we were, versus how long it's going to take, that's not going to be a 2-year turnaround. That's going to take a long time. You're also cutting the experience of that trade, right? You lose 4 to 1. There's a good chance that those 4 guys that left for the one that came in were probably in their 60s. And if you think about how much they know about the trade, what they know, that's leaving with them. So the average age of the tradesman, I don't know where it was when I got started. It was definitely higher than it is now. But that again is descending, which it's going to catch up at some point. But you're losing all that experience and sort of veteran leadership within these trades, and it's making it very difficult to not only get people up to speed, but we're having to sort of move left and right and kind of ebb and flow with how people are learning these days.
Yeah.
We're getting very sort of creative with how we teach the trade, with how we sort of process, information to the young tradesmen and things of that nature. It's changing. It's changed a lot since I became a plumber. I mean, when I was a young plumber, it was go do this, why, just 'cause,
Yeah.
and we don't act like that anymore. We're much more sort of informational with why we do stuff, how we do stuff. To be very honest, I would have rather come up in this in the trades in this sort of era rather than the one I did. It wasn't any more difficult. I don't think. It was just a little harsher, the way that we were sort of hazed in the industry.
Okay. Not so much anymore because it's like we need you.
We don't want to do that. It's not. Yeah. It wasn't productive then. It's certainly not. It's certainly not productive.
I don't think hazing's productive in any industry.
It's certainly not productive now. But I think we just know more. We know more about how people want to be treated. We know more about how you should treat somebody.
Yeah.
Being happy in your workplace, work-life balance. Those are real things.
Yeah, it's nice to be appreciated at your workplace. I know.
Yeah, and having a balance. Hey, a young guy comes up and says, "I need some time off." Okay, great.
Yeah.
I remember
flexibility.
And I remember asking for time off, and they're like, "That doesn't exist." So,
right. Old school meant that.
Correct. And I'm glad we're out of that. To be very honest with you,
Yeah.
that wasn't something I was a huge fan of at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So
like when I was talking, the production manager who was helping with the kitchen, he had said to me, like, sometimes, hey, we're getting people in and we're teaching them how to tile. Maybe that's not a trade.
No, that definitely is.
But then he's like, then they get into it for a year or two and they realize this is tough work.
Yeah.
And then, they decide to go work for Amazon.
Right.
And it's like they kind of. What do you?
There's some attrition taking place. I'll describe it as that. Right. You for every 10, you're not getting 10. Right. You're who knows what you're actually getting, but there is a sort of a rate of attrition here where not everyone makes it. I mean, but that was also true back in the day. I mean,
okay.
I think I started my class with 30 some people. I don't know, maybe 10 of us actually finished. Right.
Okay.
That still is taking place today. We were maybe more accepting of that 20 some years ago. We're not accepting of. We want to know why you want to leave. We want to know sort of what is it you're going to go do and
to try to figure out how to retain them.
Yeah, definitely. Retention's huge for us.
Yeah.
We don't want to. If it's because of a misunderstanding, or is it because you're not getting a sort of diversity in the kind of work you're doing? We can change that. We're in somewhat of control of that.
Yeah.
But that's. It's not always the case. Sometimes it's just people realize that, I got into plumbing because I heard I could make some money.
Yeah.
Well, when they actually realize the work that it is, it's just not for them. And that's okay too, right? If you certainly don't want to be there, I'm not here to keep you here, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, this kind of transitions maybe into our last topic because you were kind of talking about some management in there, to try to, retain people and stuff. Tell me a little bit about, your director of operations. What are you doing day to day? I mean, hiring or, I guess what's your day to day look like?
Yeah. Just assessing. I actually start my day with assessing the day before. So I'll look at sort of, what we did. Were we efficient on these jobs? Were there places where we could have been more efficient? I'm looking at sort of some of the accounting stuff behind the scenes. Which is, how much was the material on this job? How much of this took place? What did we actually spend here? So I'm doing some of the accounting, sort of the mixed results of the accounting stuff. But that's how I start each day. I then quickly transition to what are we doing today?
Okay.
Along with a very, very, very good team of people. Shout out to Caitlin and Alicia. They're kind of my right and left hand. They really, really do take care of stuff while I'm not there. And we're a team. We're a team of different people with different ages, different backgrounds. It's just like, it's like managing a professional sports team. I mean, You know, you're playing to certain people's talents. You're trying to sort of get somebody else that maybe sort of needs more work in that arena to get better at it.
Yeah.
A lot of training, a lot of coaching. You know, it's a challenge. I mean, it's not easy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, like that management style, you know, it just seems like, you know, applicable to so many, you know, every type of business, like the way, you know, you describe, because, you know, I'm sure there's like a lot of people out there who worked for somebody that's just like, no, you do it this way, and this is how we do it.
Yeah. We are best practices. So like if we have weekly meetings with all the trades, right? They all get together, they have a meeting, they talk about how did the week go? What could we have done better? What could we learn from an experience that didn't go well?
Yeah.
Trying to sort of get people, give them a heads up on stuff, you know. We'll talk about things that we're having issues with as far as like material. Like this piece of material, last time I checked, it failed. This is what took place, so that somebody else doesn't repeat. A lot of that stuff is in-house, and we're kind of working through that weekly. You know, that's sort of a thing of its own, right? Is looking at sort of how the results of things went, and do we need to make any changes? I deal with manufacturers, I deal with distributors, a lot of that stuff. So it's broad, it's dynamic. No 2 days are the same. You know, management I actually particularly enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't, but I like seeing people get better at things, grow. That's what makes it worthwhile for me.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great personality for it. You're a good coach.
I appreciate that.
And I know you're a coach too. I'm sure that probably helps, like coaching kids.
It does.
Into the management realm.
It does, because it's, you know, there's times to be tough and assertive. There's times to be not.
Yeah.
Right. There's times where you have to just, you know, you got to pull somebody up. I always have a saying, right? If I'll help, I'll put my hand down and pick you up out of the mud, but I certainly won't get dragged into it with you.
I love it. Well, Brian, thanks for coming on. I know I'm going to have you come back. I got, you know, questions I didn't ask or I'm not thinking about right now, but I mean, there's obviously everything with the home, you know, stuff comes up.
Anytime.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been great. I mean, Management 101 we went over. And you should probably start, you know, a management, podcast maybe, man.
Don't threaten me.
State of the trades we talked about, the club, the importance of maintaining, you know, the 4 aspects that you cover: electrical, heating, air conditioning, and plumbing. This has been awesome, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for
having me. Thanks, John.
All right, this has been the Snod Pod with your mortgage resource, John Snodgrass. We're talking plumbing, real estate, management, state of the trades, and beyond with Brian Fitzpatrick, Director of Operations, Master Plumber, Mr. Holland Services. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.